Hello, my name is Kaylin and welcome to Meet an Animal Friend Friday. Today I brought my friend Legolas to meet you all, and Legolas is a legless lizard. So Meet an Animal Friend Friday is a question and answer. So if you have any questions at any time, go ahead and put them in the comments, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my friend Legolas here, and at the end I'll answer any questions that you guys may have asked. So, like I said, Legolas is a legless lizard. They're also called glass lizards. And one reason why they're called glass lizards is because they do have the ability, like some other lizards, to actually break off their tail. So if you look at him, you'll see he has this really nice long tail. This line along his body here is actually where the main part of his body is, and then when that ends, and all of this length is all tail. So they actually do have the ability to break off their tail if they need to. They're not going to do this very often. It would just be if they feel really threatened by something. If something grabs them by their tail, they can break it off like that in order to help them stay safe and get away from predators. But they're, like I said, only going to do that if they really feel like they're in danger, because it requires a lot of energy in order to regrow that tail later on after it's come off. So Legolas here is specifically a European legless lizard. So they're found in the wild in the southeast portion of Europe and actually into Asia a little bit as well. And if you're looking at him, you may think, that's crazy. I've never heard of a legless lizard. Why is he not just called a snake? And there are several differences between legless lizards and snakes and why they're different. So one thing, let's just start on Legolas's face. If you look at his face, if you watch him long enough, you'll notice he actually blinks. And legless lizards, like other lizards, can blink. Snakes keep their eyes open, and so they don't have that ability to close eyelids like legless lizards do. Another big thing you'll see on the side of his head, you see this tiny little ear hole right there. So legless lizards do have ear holes. It's right there on the side of his head right there. Whereas snakes do have ears, but they don't have any ear opening that you can actually see from the outside of their body. Another difference is their jaws and their tongues. So snakes have forked tongues, and Legolas here, the legless lizard, does not. It's a little bit of a thicker tongue, and it is not forked, but they still use it like snakes do. You'll see whenever they're investigating something new, they'll kind of lick the air, and it helps them increase how they can smell the air around them. So that still use their tongue in the same sense that snakes do, but it just looks a little bit different. Another big difference between legless lizards and snakes is their jaws. So legless lizards they have jaws they aren't connected by soft tissue like snake jaws are. So snakes have the ability to expand and open their mouths really large, whereas legless lizards have a fixed jaw, so they can't unhinge, you would say, and open their mouths extra large as like a snake could. So we already talked about their bodies a little bit. You can see this line that goes along his body. That is the main part of his body, and the rest of all of this is tail. So snakes are a little bit the opposite. They typically have really long bodies and really short tails, whereas with our legless lizard here, you can see his tail is actually longer, I would say, than the main part of his body. So that's another differentiation. Legolas here is 6.5 years old, so he's full grown. He's been an ambassador animal here at the Tulsa Zoo the majority of his life. And they get to be about 3 feet long, so he has reached his adult size. Like I said, he's 6.5. They can live to be around 20 years old, so he still has a lot of life left in front of him. Do we have any questions?
Is he poisonous?
Is he poisonous? So no, legless lizards are not poisonous, or what people sometimes call poisonous snakes, but they're actually venomous would be the correct term for it. because snakes bite and inject, and so anything that bites and injects, it's going to be venomous because they're injecting their venom. But they're not. If he was, I probably would not be holding him like this. He would not be an ambassador animal. We only have non-venomous, non-poisonous animals in our collection that we handle in our education department.
What does Legolas like to eat?
What does he like to eat? So he eats a variety of different things here at the Tulsa Zoo. He likes crickets and earthworms. He also gets some small mice every week as well. And that is pretty consistent with what they would be eating in the wild. They are carnivorous. They do have these sharp little teeth in their mouths. And so they're mainly going to be using those sharp little teeth to eat smaller mammals. They'll eat arthropods like snails as well. They really like snails. So that's kind of the main things that they would be eating in the wild.
Does he drink water?
He does drink water. It's really cute when they drink water. He has a water bowl at all times in his enclosure here with us, and he does like to drink out of it quite often.
Does he hang out by himself?
He is solitary. That is normal. So he is in an enclosure by himself, and he does just fine like that. Males and females usually only come together in the wild for breeding, and then the females will lay eggs and protect the nest of eggs, whether they burrow and lay their eggs or they find like a tree cavity and lay their eggs in there. So they will protect their eggs until they hatch, but once they hatch, it's actually kind of interesting. There's no parental care at all. So the baby Legolas lizards are kind of on their own at that point.
What is his natural habitat? Where would you find him?
So it's a lot of kind of brush area in southeastern Europe is the main part of where they're from. They like to kind of dig around and burrow into the ground, kind of softer terrain and they like that. There are actually 10 species of legless lizards, and we do have a species that is native to Oklahoma as well. So I've personally never seen one here out in the wild, but it would be really cool if I did someday.
Does he feel slimy?
They aren't slimy. They aren't as smooth as some of the other like snakes, but they do still have these overlapping scales on their body. They have scales just like snakes do, and they are smooth. They're not rough. Their tails are a little bit more rigid than like a snake would be. Kind of, feels typically a little bit smoother. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and following us for Meet a Friend Friday. We appreciate all of your support, watching our videos, liking them, and sharing them with your own friends. And we will see you next week for another day of Meet a Friend Friday. Thank you.